Someone at the door, John, now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music. More brick laying, that screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the weird miles from the soapbox. Got BKTs on this bitch, so everybody getting rolled on, yeah.
I'm here today to meet the woman of my dreams. I've been talking to this girl on the internet for a while. I've actually been trying to save some money to go see this woman.
Did you talk to her online?
I go to the library, believe it or not, to talk to this woman. I met her on MySpace, and she's a very beautiful woman. She's tall, skinny, she's redhead, very beautiful woman.
Why don't we do it this way? Because you've never met her before.
Never met her.
Well, then I'm going to ask you to leave for a few moments, and we'll want to bring her out, let the audience meet her, and then we can both observe you two meeting, which will be a nice moment in your life, okay? So if you would just
all right, thanks a lot.
Leave her. We'll have you back in a moment. Thank you. So her name is Joby. Let's bring out Joby. Hi, Joby.
Hello, Jerry.
You are you met here Brad here on the internet.
Yes, we met on MySpace.
On MySpace. And what attracted you to him?
He was cute. He seemed very nice in the message he sent me.
Yeah. And you think this could be the one?
Yes.
And
but I have a secret to tell him.
You have a secret to tell him?
Yes.
And your secret
there's a
is?
secret, Jermaine.
I'm a man, Jerry.
Watch out.
He says he wants to meet me, you know, he tried to get a bus ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
And I said I'd just call the Jerry Springer show, you know, because then it'll give it more of a spread.
Let's see what, you know, what his reaction is going to be. But you really care about him. This isn't just to play a trick on someone. You really want him to be okay with you. All right. Well, let's bring him out now. Okay, how about a nice hand? Let's bring him back now. Here's Brad.
How you doing? So good to meet you.
Just to eat a sandwich.
It's kind of nervous on national TV, I know, but like, I wanted to ask, like, maybe, like, you know, you could be my girlfriend.
Well, Brad, I have to tell you, I'm a man.
I'll try anything once.
Oh yeah, baby, that's the OG shit right there. You like that, Brittany? I told you I had some new shit. Oh. Hey, folks, MCU'S Bleeding Edge in the house. And you know how we like to start the show off, like to keep things very interesting and very exciting and entertaining for y'all. So just to start things off, this is a new Olympic event that Jermaine's already checked out. They're adding the Olympics right now this year, right? That I wanted to, you know, show this off to the panel, right? So we can just get the show going.
Like,
wow.
How is this possible?
All right. Okay, so go to you, Elle. I'm going to start right off with the first question for you. What do you think about this new Olympic event they're going to add in the Olympics this year? What are your thoughts? Did you know about this new event? They don't have a name for it yet, but, you know, obviously it's very interesting.
I am definitely novice as it pertains to this particular event, but I'm interested in seeing how fast it goes or comes.
He said he was already behind, so, you know, he had to speed it up.
Speaking of behind, there you go.
Did you see how euphoric he was there too? Like
talk about getting an extra boost of energy.
Yeah, shit. So, what do you think, Dom? You think that's what do you think that's the new direction for the Olympics, right?
I only have one question. Where can I sign up?
Oh, you actually want to? You want to? You want to?
That's my only question.
Oh.
I have never more wanted to participate in a sport that involves running than I have now.
Well, I would only participate if there has to be a real woman in the bed for me.
As long as it's a real woman.
Real.
They look pretty real to me.
No, those are dolls.
Let's see it again. I'm
telling you, those are dolls. I thought they were real too at first. I thought they were real women, but they're dolls. What's up, Andres, the pop culture guy?
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. It's slow for me.
You're late, so you get to like be on the periphery of the conversation and shit for a minute. What's up?
Pretty good.
Anyways, Jermaine, there, I'll play one more time for you, brother. I know it's real deep shit.
The person in the middle is moving.
It's moving.
The person on the bed in the middle is
how
moving.
hard he's doing it. Like that, you know, like that was like
that,
7, 8
real
inches.
people.
That's how that dude was putting it down. What do you think, Brittany? You think this is a good new event that they're adding the Olympics here this year?
I think it's going to bring a lot of eyes to the Olympics that have never watched before.
Do you have any thoughts?
They're finally going to be able to be sponsored by Pornhub. Finally.
Do you have any
WWE
thoughts
simultaneously.
on a name for the event? Anything you can think of off the top of your head? It's a tough one to name.
I don't know. I need to consult ChatGPT first.
Okay, I was about to say, check out ChatGPT first. Andres, what's your guys, sir? I know you've seen that video before, so I mean, do you have anything to add, sir? Before we get into the House of the Dragon, season 2, episode 1, breakdown here. Any thoughts on the new Olympic event?
First off, that was not an event. It's just some stupid sexual video you probably found from TikTok or whatever social media you're in, sir. So let's move on and let's get into the War of the Dragons, folks. Come on, we're here for that.
Oh, now it's the War of the Dragons? Okay, I see. I see how it is.
I thought it was the Dance of the Dragons.
Oh, yeah, that too.
I thought we were seeing some dragons popping and locking up in here.
Yeah, if I say Dance of the Dragons, you guys think that the dragons are literally dancing? You know, like.
Well, I mean, it could be interpreted as such based on their movements. So.
They should add you to the intro of the show. That right there, that part you did right there, Andres. They can blend you right in off that. So, Jermaine, you're over here to go ahead and bust off these 8-episode recaps with us over at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge over on Monday show. The Bleeding Edge Report with Dom and Andres and I. Tell us a little bit about your new YouTube channel. That's new to me. I know it's not new. This is reality, but it's new to me just because I really don't know a lot about it up until just the last couple of months, right? We're really glad to have you, by the way. Thanks for bringing Elle and Britt around. And we are intertwining these recaps, folks. So we're going to be sharing information here and whatnot and everything. And Jermaine will be putting the shows up on his channel as well as on our channel. We'll have shows up on each channel. We're going to hold it down and make sure that we're equal, and we bring in people from our team for each show. So everybody has three people, 3 slots they can fill, including ourselves, me and Jermaine, and everything is equal across the span. But Jermaine, tell us a little bit about your channel, and then I'll go over to Elle and Britt real quick and say hello.
Oh, okay. All right. So fantasy is reality, and also Tip of the Tongue. All right, Tip of the Tongue Talks. Actually, there are 2 channels. But basically what we do is we cover a lot of fantasy, science fiction, also, some drama, especially period pieces. That's Brittany's favorite. That's her gem. So that's pretty much what we cover. And right now, what we're covering is Interview with the Vampire. And of course, lots of people are talking, buzzing in our comments. Had about 25 comments on just one video. As a result,
I know you're doing well. I've been paying attention because I've been watching those shows too.
Yeah, since we started, just Interview with a Vampire gained a small YouTube channel, just got started, but we gained about 30 subscribers as a result.
Yay!
Oh yeah, good shit.
And he also appeared on the Bleeding Edge 2 or 3 times too during that time period, folks. Don't lie, Jermaine. There you go. You know how the game works, baby. So, Elle, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to introduce you to the Bleeding Edge, and I was really looking forward to meeting you and having you on the show with us tonight. Do you want to tell anybody out there in the Bleeding Edge audience about yourself before we start kicking it real and getting fresh up on this House of the Dragon shit?
Hi guys, it's your girl Elle, just here for all things fun and of course the debauchery. I'm always here for laughs, love, and just lots of fun and all kind of weirdo shit. So I'm here for it. Happy to be here.
That's right.
For real. Who's not? You got to be down with the weirdo shit. Brittany, unfortunately, has been on the Bleeding Edge before, but it was during the Willow series. So
tough one.
It was not a good time for Brittany to be on the show, unfortunately. But her mom came on with her one time. That was dope as fuck. She was off the chain too. I never told you about that, Andres. Brittany brought her mom on the show. This shit was hilarious.
Camilla had a fun time.
Wow.
Your mom
First name
is a
basis
plus
with your
one
mom. That's
as
how you.
well.
That's how you know your mom's a badass.
Wasn't she lit too?
You know, Camilla had a little sip. She had.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. So, Brittany, welcome back to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. It's been how long now? What? Like a year? Year and a half?
Yeah,
last
like
time you came out.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been a long time. It's good to see you again. Nice to see a familiar face.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Dom from Talkin TV Podcast on YouTube channel is rocking all the episode recaps throughout the whole season with us, along with Andre the Pop Culture Guy. It's good to have you guys. I'm glad that we're all finally here. So I'm going to start off before I go ahead and play the intro for the new intro for season 2. I'm just going to start off with an opening question, and I'll go ladies first on this one. So I'll start with you, Britt, and then I'll go over to you, Elle. What are your thoughts in retrospect, looking back at season 1? I know we're talking going all the way back to 2022, and some of us haven't rewatched or anything like that. But as far as you can remember, looking back, Britt, what are your remembrances of season 1 that you carry over into season 2?
The beef between Allison and Rhaenyra. They were best friends at first, and then coming from best friends to Allison marrying Rhaenyra. That's how you say her name, right? Rhaenyra. Thank you.
Rhaenyra.
Welcome.
How you're saying Rhaenyra's dad. And so Rhaenyra felt some kind of way about that. And then Allison getting mad because Rhaenyra had sex with Sir Cole, and finding out that her best friend didn't feel safe enough to tell her what she was really doing behind her back. And that's what led to Allison calling her banners and getting ready to go to war.
Okay. Elle, thoughts? And coming off of season 1.
All right, you said ladies first. I haven't seen any ladies yet, but I'll dive right in. So from season 1, shade, but I shaded myself too. So from season 1, I remember lots and lots of incest. They did not disappoint with all of the debauchery as far as it pertains to those things. I love the tension between Damon and Rhaenyra in season 1. For me, that just kind of carried through. So as we've moved into season 2 to see, well, I don't want to dive into season 2.
I like how he was trying to bang her since she was like 8 years old or whatever,
Again, and here for the weirdo shit, like I said. So I'm kind of excited to see how things unfold between Damon and Rhaenyra as we've moved into season 2. So yes, more incest.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with incest as long as it's in the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon dimension, not in our present dimension that we live in.
Unless you live in Arkansas.
I was about to say I used to live in Louisiana. I've been to Arkansas. I know all about the Arkansas shit. Y'all don't know. I used to live down there. I lived in West Monroe, baby. My daughter was born at Monroe Hospital.
No.
Yeah, I told you I used to live up there. Back when I used to have my heavy New York accent too, people did not like it. I was not very people. My guys were not fond of me down there.
No.
But Dom, what are you carrying over from season 1 into season 2?
Well, I mean, for me, the biggest thing going into season 1 was still the baggage from the final season and how much that sucked and how much it sucked a piece of our souls. It felt like when it ended the way that it did. So naturally, I'm skeptical going into this prequel show now, which is based on Fire and Blood, which is not even really a narrative novel. It's more of like a history text about the entire history of the Targaryen family, and you're specifically on the Dance of the Dragon section right there. And it lends itself to TV so much better than I thought it was going to, in the sense of where rather than kind of existing against this existential backdrop of this, looming threat of like the White Walkers that's coming, now instead you have it as simultaneously like a more focused, like regular Game of Thrones story, but like the Game of Thrones that we like, while also recontextualizing some of the events that we were already familiar with. So season 1, I thought, did that particularly really well. as far as now setting us up for this new season, which is primarily going to be a war season. It's kind of still following the same structure as the original show in that the odd seasons are kind of the setup seasons, and those would usually be filled with more intrigue, more betrayal, more plot twists, versus the even seasons, which were usually a lot more action-focused. Those were usually build-ups to these massive battle sequence episodes, your Blackwaters, your Watchers on the Wall, your Battle of the Bastards, whatnot. So this season is definitely... it's definitely gearing us up for another one of those kinds of seasons, but in House of the Dragon fashion. So we don't necessarily know kind of how the story is going to be structured this season.
I want to see some penis. We need some penis. You know what I'm saying?
We just might, Jeff. We just might.
You know what I'm saying? HBO hasn't dropped no penis in a while. There need to be some penis up in this bitch. What do you think, Andre's pop culture guy?
Penis.
We could see some penis possibly in the season.
I mean, the guys say he knows his own, cock in the episode. So we had that. So it was a good start. So, yeah.
By the way, Dom, one time I fucked a chick and I fucked the soul out of her.
Wow.
Or not.
I mean, I would hope. I mean, I feel like if you're not doing that, then you're not having sex the right way.
It was like an exorcist, bro. Like the soul came right out of her body and shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And what did you do?
I mean, I was just chilling, getting after it, baby. You know what I'm saying? Handle my business. In the zone.
I mean, if the soul comes out, does that signify, that it's over? Okay.
I was about to say, we don't know.
Eventually, the soul came back down into the body and shit and whatnot. And I just kept on rocking throughout the whole thing. Feel me?
Yep.
It settled back down. It came back into place. But just to be clear, though, I got them kind of abilities.
Talk about soul searching.
There you go. Yes. Jermaine, sir, what do you think, sir? What are your thoughts? What do you carry over from season 1 into season 2? What did watching episode 1 of season 2 drag out from you from season 1?
So one character that I really, really loved was Rhaenys. Please correct me if I'm mispronouncing her name. Her character was very, very understated in season 1. However, left an imprint because her parts were played well. In the first episode of season 2, we're going to start. I'm hoping that we're going to start to see more of her particular character. I know that she plays a huge part. In the book.
You mean the queen who never was?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but there are some subtle things that she does. It's all in her looks, right? And so to see her carry over like her storyline from season 1 into season 2, that she is the character that I'm looking forward to.
That actress is great. She does a really great job with that character. Andre's the pop culture guy, sir. Same question to you.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of the Game of Thrones universe. This is my first time getting into this universe, and I thought that one of the great things about the House of the Dragon, yesterday I just finished up all season 1, and one of the things that was really great was just the family dynamic of the High Towers, and Rhaenyra's family. So, and seeing the conflict between these two desperate families now, wants the grasp of the Iron Throne, and I'm very excited to see that in this season and see the conflict more fold now that Rhaenyra father of how do you say it?
Viserys,
thank you. It's gone. He passed away, and he was the the person that was holding the glue of this conflict, but then now he's gone. So, and honestly, what happened in episode 10 of the first season, that was just like, we're done, we're going into war. So yeah, I'm very excited to see that, and and see the different character interactions that these characters like Damien and the princess that never be that character interacting a bit more, because I thought them talking was really interesting, because she had a chance to kill the Greens in episode 9, and of course Damien, who is a very rash person, blames her not to kill them right there in the chancellor in the city. So I'm very excited for that part of the show for season 2. So I'm very excited to talk about episode 1 right now, season 2.
Excellent, Andres. All right, well, speaking of which, let me go ahead and play this intro, and we'll delve into the episode. Shogun.
Score sends shivers up my spine like every time I hear it.
Shogun?
No, well, Game of Thrones.
The House of the game. I think the Shogun score was fucking sick. Personally,
that was really good too.
That's just my take. So, all right, episode 1 of season 2. I'm not going to break down the intro or anything like that and whatnot. We'll save that for another show or something that we could do in some other kind of recorded video or something. That's the different kind of show. But where we start off with is a really, really, really interesting scene, I think, where we start off with seeing a crow sort of flying through the air, right? As we get, one of the Starks, I forget his name. Lord Gregan Stark, Cregan Stark, voicing over sort of how the Night's Watch works. Right, and what the point is of the wall and all that, right? As sort of a voiceover before it carries over to which one of the sons is it that's over there to visit with him?
Viserys.
Viserys. Before Viserys and Cregan. Sorry, speaking basically as Cregan is beseeching him, for troops, for aid, right, in the war, in the upcoming battle, ahead. So great scene, very, very prolonged. There was a lot of dialogue there, and a lot of interesting stuff went on throughout. I thought during that discussion, we go right off of that into basically Rhaenys Targaryen coming in off of her dragon and having Daemon kind of come right at her and be like, "Hey, we're gonna go team up and we're gonna go basically start the war right now." And go son for son on some shit real quick, and essentially Rhaenys kind of puts him in check, and it's like, does the queen authorize this? What's going on here? Like, I need rest. My dragon needs rest because she's out there basically patrolling as a part of the blockade, against the Greens, right? So jumping off that, we get Queen Alicent getting her pussy ate out by Sir Kristen Cole, eating some pussy, getting after it, right? I thought it was a really good, really cool looking scene. And then them putting their clothes back on and her being like, this is the last time and all this shit, as she undresses him and all this crap. So first question off that, I'll go to you, Jermaine. That's a lot open there on the table for you to work with. What are your thoughts on that intro? Anything specific you want to delve into?
A couple things. So first, the relationship between the Stark guy and also Jace. I don't remember his name. But I'm just gonna say the Stark guy. It seems like that.
Cregan with a C.
Cregan, let's go with that. So it seems like that's going to be a budding relationship, something that's going to build all throughout the arc of the remainder of the show. And so I really do look forward to that. It seems like it's going to be a relationship based on respect. Also, I did notice that Cregan, his hair was red. And that kind of threw me off for a second because Stark men generally have dark, or I should say black hair. So that kind of threw me off. So I want to see how they explain that and how other Starks, end up with dark hair. Also, I kind of already talked about Rhaenys. I'm in awe of her, her strength, her ability to notice when somebody is putting her in place, but choosing not to use words and still putting Daemon in his place. She is someone that you have got to watch. I loved it. I love that whole scene. She checked him. She said, what did she say? Would you be the king? Or
would that you were the king?
Would that you were the king? Like, that was awesome. That was awesome. And he, what could he say? What could he say? What could he do? You know one, sir.
Exactly what he did.
You know
Nothing.
Something else. And again, this is something that we're gonna get to, but he is the second son, right? And I guess he wasn't necessarily raised to be the 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 second in line to the throne or whatever. But what I noticed in his particular character, he's very one dimensional. It's he only responds to dominance and power and force, and he responds by being dominant and showing force. However, in this particular episode, I do see that he's learning a bit of a lesson.
Okay, Andre's a pop culture guy.
Well, I mean, first up, I was not expecting we were going back to the Winterfell. That was a really cool surprise. Like just taking us back to a very familiar place for this universe, and so that was really cool. See how they are, prior to the main timeline in the Game of Thrones, and so that was really cool. What was it like in the main timeline? In the Winterfell, they use criminals to help them with the wall, so this is different, from what we're going to see in the main timeline. So that was really cool to see. And the conversation between Stark and Jaehaerys was really interesting, because I do agree with you, Jermaine. They're going to have a good relationship, because he didn't like do the Damien way of forcing things or like show fear. He came in as like a very noble leader, which is really great. Like this we had to point out. Like Stark brought up that you're one of the few that didn't like show off the dragon to like come to us. Like you just came here like as this, the receiver and about the army and all that. And so that's a really good showing how Renea had teach her children how to behave as leaders, and I think that's something we really see. And I really like that we got more time with the second oldest, or the first oldest, more, because we saw briefly him in the first season, but here it's really great to see him more acting, and he really did a good job with this scene, especially when we got the Raven give him the note, and that was like, oh my god. He's receiving the, his brother has got killed. And then of course the scene, I kind of like they didn't bring up the last thing to wrap up that, the Winterfell thing. It was great that they didn't talk about too much of the walkers, what you call it, the ice walkers, because that's something that
the White Walkers, sir, not the Ice Walkers.
Thank you, the White Walkers. Sorry.
We can call the Ice Walkers if you want, sir.
I just like, I want to respect this fandom, and let me get these characters right. So yeah, the White Walkers, but that's something that it could be a rumor for everyone. It's like, or they exist, just like the dragons. So but yeah, so that was a really great scene to start with this episode, and set us up the familiar before we go into the main thing from House of the Dragon. And then the Damien and Rhys's conversation was really great. I mean, because we're seeing how one thing I'm very curious to see moving forward to the season is the Damien and Renea relationship. They're a couple, but they're very far apart, like as a marriage people. Like Damien, just how he handles grief is very different from what Renea is, because she's a woman, and I like how Rhea said, she's a grieving mother, like how she's gonna, what is it, like do her duties, she's a grieving mother right now, at this moment, where Damien, he just is a grieving person that wants to start war and not thinking clearly. So I really appreciate that conversation, and thankfully, we have someone to control Damien, because like Damien is a kind of a very crazy person that's a loose cannon, and thankfully we got one people that can hold him down, before he does anything stupid, And then after that, I'm getting my notes here. And we go back to see the what is it what's the endpoint, Jeff? Can you remind me, sir?
When Elsa is getting head from her
Oh yeah, that. By the way, so like here's the like here's the thing. So hypocritical for Cole. Like he complains so much as like his honor and his duty, and he's doing it again.
Do you think he got laid? Do you think he got some pussy too?
No.
Like was it reciprocal? Like, you know what I'm saying? Well,
No.
was he just like straight eating her, like that's it? Like, you know, like that?
And actually, I question whether or not he really wanted to do it. It just seems like it was a duty, a task that he felt like he had to perform.
Yeah,
he definitely got in there. If you think about the rest of the episode, yes, he did. He absolutely did.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're fucking later out of the episode. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, obviously they fuck.
Yeah, well, and you remember, I know it's a long time, but you remember in episode 10 or episode 9 of first season when they were trying to find Aegon in the city, and she like came to Cole like, please, it's your duty to find him. And like she did it a very like romantic, like seduction.
Motherfucker, you just watched season 1 like and finished it a couple days ago. Us House of the Dragon veterans over here and shit and whatnot. We don't have time to rewatch that shit. You know, all this bullshit.
Oh, Jeff.
You know what I'm saying?
Fuck you. I'm
God.
talking to the whole people here.
I do.
To bring this conversation because like she was on to Cole like from day one, like just being seduced into him, and like you're mine now, my friend. I'm gonna use you whatever I want, you know. And it's like, come on, Cole. Cole, he's such a stupid person. Anyway, sorry, but yeah, that's my thoughts. I thought those sequences were really great and just pulling us back into the House of Dragon in a great way.
Okay, Brittany.
So I agree with a lot of what Andres, is that how you say your name? What you were saying. And Cole is very problematic. And he's one of those characters that is super complicated. I think he's the most fucked up out of everybody in the show because he is 1 minute has this honor that he's supposed to uphold as a gold cloak, where he's not supposed to take a wife, not supposed to sire any kids, not supposed to have relations with any women. But Allison is contradicting herself and is having sex with him. And from the start, if you look back at season 1, she's been wanting Cole the whole time. And the minute that Rhaenyra gave him up, she was like, ooh, he's my dick now. And she don't care that she's sharing dick with her best friend. She wanted him from the start. So that's kind of problematic to see that. Allison,
you know how it gets down like that sometimes with best friends like that. They be share dick like that. That's how it goes.
No. Best friends do not share dick. That's poly. That's being poly. And that's okay if that's your preference. Nothing's wrong with being poly. But best friends do not share dick. Okay?
Okay, USA.
Jeff, you were quiet.
Awkward silence there. But Britt, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, Elle, your thoughts, my friend.
Okay, the opening scene. First of all, I love the historical kind of jump backwards into laying the foundation for the why and how the Starks kind of play into everything. Also love the cinematography of literally hell freezing over in the north. So love to see that. Let's talk about this makeshift elevator, right? So that was pretty interesting to me. The things that probably have absolutely no reference are the things that stick out for me. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting, just kind of watching that. Watching Jace interact with Mr. Stark about basically political matters as he's grieving, right? He's grieving, but hey, he's coming here, as they say, standing on business, trying to move things along to ensure that his brother is avenged. So that stood out for me. We've all been talking about Rhaenys. love the pissing match between her and Damon. I love a good pissing match. So watching those two kind of go head to head is like watching porn with everyone's clothes on, but it's good. It's good. It's just like a penis measuring contest. It's good to see between Rhaenys and Damon. And to just see her blatantly basically just defy him. He's like, hey, this is a command. And she's like, oh, okay, basically, and just keeps it moving. And so I'm with Jermaine and also Andres. I would love to see more of Rhaenys and kind of how her story will unfold, because if ever there was a bad bitch, that's it. She's coming in on Dragon back. She is not playing games. She is a Valerian. She's here for all things. Hey, I can go to war. I can be a mother. I'm all things. So I love to watch her. So that's where I'm at with it.
Dom.
Yes. All right. So my thoughts. Sorry, I was definitely not at all zoned out there. Yeah. So opening scene, Winterfell. We got it back. They promised we were going to get it. We got it. We get our introduction to Cregan Stark. I was saying this on my show last night about how I like how kind of what they're doing, and in terms of the recontextualization of Game of Thrones, is they're kind of taking a lot of the characters that we were already familiar with in Game of Thrones and kind of retooling them a bit for some of these newer characters we've got. You know, like I was making some pretty direct one-on-one comparisons to them. And I mean, with Cregan, it's like, oh, so this is like, it's like a young Ned Stark. You know, they're even having him talk like him. He's carrying around ice. You know, I'm like, oh, so this is what Ned Stark ideally would have been like in his prime. And it was interesting watching, you know, Jace interact with him, you know, kind of rekindling a lot of the, a lot of the history that the Stark and the Targaryen families had together, you know, and especially given in its direct contrast to, you know, Torrhen Stark, the king who knelt to Aegon the Conqueror so many years before the events of the show. Now you have, obviously, you know, Jace recruiting Cregan to assist in their efforts against the Greens, and you ultimately have, unfortunately, you know, for all those who are familiar with Fire and Blood, you know, I won't go into specific details as far as what happened, but Cregan Stark and the Stark forces do play a massive, massive part in the final act of the Dance of Dragons, the Hour of the Wolf, for those who are familiar. As far as the other two major events, I just wanted to say that there's been a supreme lack of appreciation for Olivia Cook and just the absolute pure acting chops that she does, like just getting eaten out, turned every which way but loose. I mean, come on, that is acting right there, if we have ever seen. And then also, what's it called? I mean, it sucks the fact of, you know, Rhaenys, you know, not unfortunately having the screen time that she deserves, because talk about making a big impact with so little time. I mean, her relationship with Daemon is one that we didn't really get a chance to explore a lot of in the last season, really. You know, kind of the only real interaction that the two of them had was at the end when he chewed her out for not, you know, cooking the greens with Meleys as she should have. And I do like the little smoke back and forth from him. I think the moments there are weakened a little bit by the fact that Daemon kind of is 100% right. Like, I don't like to give Daemon that much credit when he deserves it, because, you know, he is such a problematic character. But, I mean, he kind of is right. Like, she had a golden opportunity, a shot to end everything, and she didn't. And it's kind of one of those, it's kind of a giant flaw in the storytelling when you have a moment that so blatantly could end the story and you kind of have to go the opposite way in order to prolong it, you know? And then you have to be like, oh, human error. And it's like, yeah, but that's not the type of human error. There's human error, and then there's human error for the purpose of continuing the plot. And kind of we've fallen into the latter category here. But still, Eve Best kills it as Rhaenys. She's awesome. And yeah, as far as the Kristen Alicent relationship, didn't necessarily see that coming, but at the same time, like, okay, this makes sense. It's not a surprise, you know. And I don't know why we're pretending that like Kristen Cole has honor. I'm pretty sure that honor went out the window the minute that he was about to seppuku himself in the last season, and then Alicent stopped him. I'm pretty sure that's where his honor went out the window. You know, he's kind of like the reverse Jaime in this instance. So yeah, those are my thoughts on those opening couple scenes.
So he would get more honor if we saw him naked or half naked.
I'm gonna go with.
Would love to see it.
I feel like we can make an argument for half naked. I feel like we can do that.
Yeah.
I need half naked. I need full naked.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you need the full on, just
full
showing
on, half Monty.
Yeah.
For real, what good is half?
Yeah, true. Go all the way. Go.
Well, I mean, you know,
go big or go home.
Well, I was about to say HBO. It's whatever it is, Max, whatever it's called these days.
Yeah.
No, you got to give credit. HBO is the bomb when it comes to that shit. They don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
HBO they show penis and fucking, you know, vagina and everything. All kinds. They don't give a fuck.
I'm here for it.
Everybody seems to forget that we were introduced to Tyrion Lannister in the first episode getting a blowjob, which is, again, one of the greatest ways. I personally think that should be a requirement for every character that you want to introduce on every TV show going forward, even if it makes no sense at all. Just introduce them getting a blowjob somehow. You'll never forget it.
I mean, you do have a point.
I forgot it.
I did not.
I forgot about Tyrion.
I didn't forget about his character, but
that's what I'm saying. You'll never forget Tyrion.
I'm gonna drop a trailer. So here, fuck yeah, baby. Hey, cool bro, what's up, baby? Let's do it. Anyway, so back to episode 1. All right, so we get a small council meeting, and before that, we get Aegon. You know, the new Aegon, going to one of his his sister wife or whatever, wanting his son to take him to to high council and all that shit. And she has almost like a vision, almost, or like she has like a she's like she's not worried about like a premonition. She's like, I'm worried about the rats or whatever, right? And we go off that into the small council meeting, which I thought was a really great scene. I love the actor that plays King Aegon. He's great. I really enjoy him. The meeting is great. I love Otto Hightower. I love the actor that plays Otto Hightower. Coming off the small council meeting, we get the foot fetish dude, right? Larius or whatever, strong or whatever, meeting with Larius, meeting with Allison. And then we see her bathing, and she prefers to bathe herself. Like she bathes away her bath bathes or whatever, whatnot, so she can like scrub herself with all this shit. So which you can think, make what you want of that. So that's right there. Another question. Go to you, Britt, first. What were your thoughts on everything that went down in that small council meeting, right? And then the conversation between Allison and old foot fetish dude guy, and then the bathing scene and all that.
Okay, let's do one at a time. So the first one is with the council meeting. So with the council meeting, I thought it was really cool to see how the King Aegon brought in his son, because he wanted to have, in my opinion, he wanted to have his son have a different experience than what he had growing up, because his father never brought him into the council meetings, or we didn't see that. And so now you're seeing him bring his son in. Instead of bringing in his daughter, he brought his son in. And then also he's trying to make him a badass. And he knows that, what was the name of the guy that he was messing with?
Tywin Lannister.
Lannister. Okay, Tywin Lannister. So he was messing with him, trying to get him to give him a pony ride in the middle of his meeting. And it's like he's trying to get his son to act badder than what he normally is, and pushing the envelope a little bit. And his mom, Allison, is like, okay, chill out. We need to focus. We need to get it together. And then here comes Aemond. Here comes Aemond into the room. And Aemond is like the one who basically started this shit. And Allison is like, why is he here? And Otto is looking like, what the fuck? What just happened? We're about to lose power. And they don't want to lose power and control over Aegon. So that's what I noticed when I first saw that scene with the council. Also, King wasn't that interested. What's the second question?
The second question was the scene with the foot fetish guy and Allison, where he tells her that he replaced all of like those people or whatever and whatnot, and they don't breathe the same air anymore as we do.
Exactly. They don't breathe the same air that we do. She looked nervous, at the same time a little shocked that he actually killed them instead of just dismissing them from her court and replaced them with people that he trusts. I think that when she was having the bath scene, everything was sinking in, and she was like, oh my God, what the fuck did I start? What have I done? Because he was also questioning her, like, why couldn't I come see you this morning? What were you doing? And she's looking like, anyway, none of your fucking business. And then what's the third question?
Oh, just the bath scene. If there was anything you had to say about the bath scene.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Dom.
Yes. All right. So a couple things I want to talk about here. Firstly, kind of our major reintroduction / recontextualization of Egan, really, who again is one of the characters that we were really only introduced to, not the second half, really the last couple of episodes of the first season due to the time jumps and other incorporated characters. We obviously met both him and Aemon as children in episode 6, along with Jacaerys and Lucerys, but by nature of the fact that they were then recast for young adults and the actors that are portraying them now, the actors portraying Egan being Tom Barney, who actually was in Dunkirk as well. What's it called? I like that we actually get to know who Egan is as a character now. We actually get to see his multiple sides, his layers, and I like how for a character that they've set up as pretty much being the next Joffrey, this is I mean that's kind of who they modeled him after. It's pretty obvious. It's nice to see that it's almost kind of the total opposite, where he's rather somebody who actually wants to be a good king and does want to, kind of ensure that his sons are ready for it, even if he doesn't really know how to do it. He's somebody, it's a character that I never thought I would see in Game of Thrones, which is a character who's painfully aware of his flaws and trying to become better as a result of it without having to go through a crazy traumatic event, Obviously, unfortunately, that's not the case, given that this entire episode is kind of the fallout from Lucerys' death, but I just really thought that kind of character examination was really great. And then as far as the small council scene and Alicent, really, I mean, Alicent, as we know, is a character that, despite her anger for Rhaenyra, I think kind of the intrigue of her character is that she is somebody who ultimately wants things to remain peaceful, because for better or for worse, she knows that when things are peaceful, things are typically better, especially given that that's a time that her and Rhaenyra grew up in, Now, obviously, she is somebody who actually has the foresight to understand that her actions when she was younger had a direct hand in this. But at the same time, she's also somebody who is almost like a Carmela Soprano in the sense of where she can kind of rest her laurels on the fact that she is trying to, be good in a world that seemingly is holding her back. And while obviously, that puts her basically in direct contrast with Otto Hightower, who is pretty much the opposite, where he's somebody who has encouraged this conflict, knowing full well what the outcome was going to be. And instead, Otto was taking the approach of, I'm just surrounded by guys who don't know what they're doing. And that's why everything's kind of turned to shit, when that's not the case at all, I did those are the observations that I'm getting from the Hightower side, the green side, that again, it's these little details and moments that really, really do set to make things special. And it's almost like they're trying to compensate for the fact that, the green solo episode of the finale last season kind of didn't have a whole lot going for it, other than, Rhaenys escaping on the back of her dragon at the end of it. And but yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on that section.
Okay, Elle.
Okay, so for me with King Aegon, I love the dichotomy of this character. You have him being the leader, and then you have him being kind of childish, bringing his child into this meeting and basically beckoning for this child to act up, be horrible, do all the things, and I can do this simply because I have power. I'm doing this because I can. And so I don't know the actor's name right off the top of my head, but he does an amazing job of being bratty, of being entitled, of being all of these things. So I love watching it. Like I said, he's in power, and at the same time he's being childish. So I love seeing that. Additionally, with Alicent, you have her being this young grandmother, and so she has a seat at the table, but then in this instance, not really. She's almost kind of silenced in a way. So you're seeing the struggle that she's having at this point. She's trying to correct the behaviors, but kind of sort of being ignored at the same time. So that was interesting as well. And what was the other question you asked? There was one more thing.
There's a scene where she has a conversation with the foot fetish guy, and then there's like a bathing scene.
Yes. So Larys is the ultimate creep. I love watching him. He's such a weasel. right?
Yes.
So if I had to equate him to any animal, it would be a weasel. He really, really is just that. So he's that guy that makes your skin crawl, but at the same time, he has so much dirt on you. He has the inside track. He's also very cunning. So you need that type of character. So I love watching him all the while my skin is crawling at the same time. So Allison is kind of experiencing that with Laris. He has a lot on her. He knows a lot. And she's kind of afraid of him in a sense. So he's basically gotten rid of everyone and hired all his people. So when she's in the scene to where she's bathing, it's almost like she has an out of body experience of like, wait a minute. I'm thinking in my head, like, is she thinking that, oh my God, maybe I've been poisoned or something like that? She sends everybody out. She's like, I'm not doing this. Like, no, she's like, she has an epiphany. So she's just really creeped out by Laris. She really absolutely is. So I think she is in essence afraid of him. He's a very, very dangerous character.
Do you think she felt dirty because she was fucking Kristen Cole too?
I absolutely do not think she felt dirty. I feel like ideally that's what you would want to think that she feels. I don't think she feels dirty at all. Not in the slightest. Her skin is crawling because of the Weasley Laris and how he has to basically be a part of whatever she has going on. It is a lot less for me to do with Kristen than it does to do with how Laris is just Weasley and cunning and she needs him, but she doesn't want to need him. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with Kristen. She doesn't feel dirty. She likes being a dirty little slut. She likes that. She enjoys that.
Nice. Way to end it. Right. You ended it really good on that one too. Andre's a pop culture guy.
So the what is it? The standing, lower standing, the one that's sleeping. I mean he's basically the version of Littlefinger in this show. And so what he's doing, particularly with Allison, that's intriguing. I saw this in a couple Game of Thrones YouTube channels that did, he's building up evidence and blackmail against Allison whenever this, whatever happens to the High Towers or this family, the Green Team, ever they fall. Well, guess what? Laura Stanley has a lot of evidence and proof that they did all this, and who order his father and Renee's lover to die in the fire in last season, or the stuff with the white worms, her quarters being burned. He can just point that she's the one that made the orders because she was the queen. So that's what Laura Standing is trying to do here. And plus, you guys haven't brought this up. We also have to bring up that he's also doing his game. See what I did there? Game. Anyway, he's doing his chess right now of he's also manipulating Aegon to get rid of Hightower to be his hand. That's another thing that he's also doing, because he saw briefly how he's trying to be. It's he's such an easy puppet, and so he's also doing that. So he's playing both sides. He's not only tricking Allison, he's also tricking Otto, and so he's doing all this while this is happening. And so that's something that I'm very intrigued what's going to happen. So that's what he's doing, and so he's one of those fascinating characters that was very intriguing from season 1. And then what was the other other question, Jeff? Because I covered that.
There's the bathing scene.
Oh yeah, the baby scene. The baby scene is very intriguing. The staff is new, but you have to remember, just Renea doesn't like how her as a woman is her body is being used to breed babies and all that. Allison has that same feeling too. Remember, she was forced into becoming, Perez's wife in the first season. And she didn't ask to be the queen and all that. just like Rand's becoming the heir. Same thing with Aegon. He didn't, like they were forced to be in these roles, and so her being that scene favorite is more of her like just let me handle my own body, instead of just everyone, just doing that. So like that is a very intriguing scene. I understand like how's Allison been doing for this like so many years, and then the last question, I got those 2 questions done.
That was all there was.
Yeah. So those scenes are very crucial. It was great to see Laura Strayton coming back. He was great, and he's always funny because he has you think he has a thing with Allison, but not really. He's just playing Allison around. Like he's just blackmailing her. Like she's setting up blackmailing stuff in the nearest future, if anything happens, with the green team.
Okay, Andre's the pop culture guy. Jermaine.
So King Aegon is a little bitch. He is. He asked his he basically wanted his son to ride another man's back. I'm sorry, but King Aegon is the only little person at that particular table, so his son should have been riding his back. And also sulking at the table. I mean, dude, like how you're the king of an empire and you're sulking at a table, that's not very kingly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I noticed in that particular scene. I loved Allison in that particular scene. She was definitely trying to show restraint. And it was very clear on her face how she disliked how her father handled her. And we saw like in the next scene how she approached him about it. Their conversation, I don't know if I think that's all part of the sequence that you laid out. But the conversation that the 2 of them had, he basically said, hey, I didn't see it from that perspective. And that makes total sense. I did wonder, however, whether or not he was placating her in that particular moment. Just, like saying, yeah, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. Just to like flip the script. There was something that she said at the end of that particular conversation that had me thinking, he's probably going to do something not as forceful, not as violent, but he's thinking about something. I don't know what that might be. Also, Larys. So Larys is basically a serial killer before the world knew what a serial killer was. No, I'm serious. However, I love the veiled threat that he gave her. Basically, he was basically saying that being indisposed, she was indisposed. That was to me a threat. That was him saying, hey, look, I know what you were doing. I didn't like it. And this is what happens to people who I don't trust. And right now, you're on that other side of trust. Okay? Yeah. That's what I got.
Okay, sir. Most definitely. And we appreciate you. So, as we move off that, and the scene you're talking about where Otto and Allison talk actually comes after Aegon holds court. That's when that happens. But I know what you're talking about. But so what happens after that is we see Rhaenyra as herself go and confirm her son's death, right? She goes and confirms her son's death on her own. I wasn't really able to make out, or I really wasn't sure what remains she found of him. Was it just clothing? I couldn't really tell. Clothing. That's all. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think it might have been the harness. Is what it might have been, like the harness, which, he may have sat in before he got chomped out of the sky. Because I mean, if you look at the angle that the jaws connected with the smaller dragon, like then no piece of him survived. It would have been like chewed up, incinerated. Like it was only going to be pieces of the dragon that people were going to find to begin with. So
we see her. It's a really depressing scene. We see her like mourning the death, really in real life, and then we see Aegon hold court. And I thought this was a really entertaining scene when Aegon held court. And him, Otto Hightower getting pissed off with him and whatnot throughout the whole thing. It was really dope. Then we get Lannies or whatever, Strong, go to see Aegon, right? doing some more of his dirt peddling and shit like that and whatnot, and trying to sway him away from Otto Hightower as his hand. And then we see Otto and Alicent speak. When Alicent's calling Otto out and being like, basically like, why are you cutting my balls off in front of all this room full of men? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to, like, you know, handle my business with my sons, right? And like, you're fucking me up. You know, I can be effective on this shit. We need to work together. You know, so I'll stop there. Another question. Go to you first, Elle. What are your thoughts on Aegon holding court, Rhaenyra showing up on her own to confirm, you know, her son's death, and then, you know, how do you pronounce the strong guy? Larys meeting with Aegon briefly before we see Otto and Alicent speaking. You know, like I just mentioned.
Okay, so first of all, Aegon holding court. LOL. He is he is ill-equipped, ill-prepared. He's a child. He has a childish mind frame. He is not prepared to hold court. He wants to do well. He genuinely does. However, he is not. He's not qualified. He's absolutely not qualified. And to see Grandpa Hightower emasculate him was hilarious to me. I was watching it and I was just giggling the whole time. I'm like, he is sitting up here like, hey, I'm gonna grant you this. You can have your goats back. No problem, buddy. And then for his grandfather to come over there and be like, so what are the dragons gonna eat? Okay, listen. They knew what they signed up for. The dragons have to eat. So you have just told this man that you can have him back. Okay, so how the dragons gonna eat again? We need the dragons for the war. Dummy is basically what he says without saying it. So he has to basically eat crow and draw back what he just promised one of the common folk. So that was hilarious. Just watching him at court trying to assert power, but basically proving you don't have it, you're not ready. So there's that. And then the other question I believe you asked was about Rhaenyra coming back to have to confirm the death of Luke. So watching that scene, first of all, superb acting.
Lucerys, yes. Yep.
Yes. Superb acting in that particular scene. So just watching her, you have this person just from watching her from season 1, absolutely strong person, the things that she's been through, and then to have the death of her son confirmed, watching that was a lot, but also beautiful, beautiful acting. So very believable. I'm thinking these things are really happening. So I love to see those scenes from Rhaenyra. She's one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very biased. She's just absolutely one of my favorites. So to watch her basically, hey, I'm not gonna give up until I have evidence of my son's death on my own, which she sought out and found it, unfortunately. So I enjoyed that. And then the last question, give it to me again, please.
Basically, there was also just the Otto and Alicent speaking together and having that discussion, you know, where Otto, you know, about how things went down in the small council.
So Otto Hightower is one of my favorite people to hate, to love, to watch. And he's one of those characters that is a necessary evil. He is. He comes off as very upstanding, but then, you know, because you're viewing the show from the outside looking in, you know, like, oh my God, this is a dirty bastard. He is absolutely awful. But I love a good villain. And I know maybe calling him a villain is a stretch, but to me, he's a villain, but I love watching him. So I think he is kind of pandering to Alicent, like, oh God, I didn't view it that way. At the same time, y'all are playing checkers. Hightower is playing chess. He 100% is. He is he's vested in his own interest, and he knows how to move and manipulate. And then you have Larys, that is this cunning weasel that is in the ear of King Aegon, like, hey, you know, you really can choose your own hand. You don't have to have Viserys's hand as your hand. Hey, no problem. Just saying, this is what's available to you. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, Jermaine.
So the hand has his hand literally up the ass of the king, making him his puppet, right? Telling him that you a stupid fool, you don't know what you're doing. Let me school you, son, grandson, grandsire, whatever you want to call it.
You got a hand up that ass, huh?
Yes. That was, that. Okay, so in the previous season, we saw that. What was his name? King Viserys is.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
All right. So when Rhaenyra offered up an opinion, basically, the king basically had to say, "You're new at this. You'll learn." Yada yada yada. That was one of those moments. Except that this is the king now saying this, and he's saying this in front of everyone, not realizing that it has ripple effects. Right. And so now he has to correct him before it becomes a bigger issue. So that was awesome to see. And since I talked about the other thing before, I'm going to end it there.
Okay, sir. I'll just pop culture guy.
Yeah. So, just to me the questions, please, and the end, Jeff.
Basically, the scene where we see Rhaenyra show up to confirm, Lucerys' death, Aegon holding court, Larry's seeing, talking to Aegon about, replacing, Otto as hand, and then Otto and Alicent speaking together, having that conversation that they have together after the High Council meeting.
Yeah.
Or after the court, sorry.
After the court, okay. I mean, Otto, he's a very interesting character. I mean, he's very manipulated. Like the fact that he's a very old-fashioned kind of person, and he's definitely like an octopus, having his hands on every plate, and I'm just very intrigued when that is gonna, really fell for him, because like now that Lord Stranding is gonna manipulate Aragon, to maybe replace Otto as the hand, that's gonna be a very big trouble, because you don't know what's gonna happen afterwards. And I saw a little bit of the preview for the whole series, and we see that kind of moment that will probably happen, because Cole say like, don't talk to your prince like that, or king, and so that's gonna be in trouble with Otto. So I thought that scene, because I already brought up the Lord Stranding talking to Aragon about thinking to replace Otto as the hand. First, we had to, I agree with one of the opponents brought up, Olivia Cook being great, but Emma, the artist, is so fantastic. Like she barely speaks in this episode. Before she does speak, her facial expression just tells you everything about the grief that Renee is going. It's not only the son you have to remember. Like, she lost her father, she lost her her stillborn, and then now this her firstborn is now gone. It's like a big
that's right. She just lost that daughter with Damon.
Yeah. And so that's like a huge thing to remember, like a huge thing for her. And so it's so sad for her. And the scene with her, her oldest son coming back, oh, that killed me. Like he was acting very mature, you understand that. And then he starts to break down. It's like, oh my God. And then she comes in to hug him. It's such a beautiful scene. Fantastic acting. That was one of my favorite scenes of this premiere. Like that, like hook you. It's like, yes, that's Game of Thrones. And yeah,
that's further in the episode.
Yeah, I know, but I we're all over the place here. Yeah, so but I want to just great scene. Love that. And I just want to bring up Emma Diarras, like great actress. She like her expression here was really great when she found the remains of her son, that was like just sad. It's just really sad. Yeah, Aegon, that like whole what was it, like Aegon taking like
he held court and everything and whatnot, yeah.
Yeah, it was a funny scene. It's just very, because unlike like this is something that's very crucial. Like, it's funny to see like him bringing his kid to the court, all that's funny, but you have to remember, he did not got the proper treatment or like preparation to be a king like Rhaenyra was prepared to be the queen. Like, she understood her responsibilities in that. And like, if you see like how she is, with the grief and all, like she's portraying to be like she's a queen. She's doing her duties as a leader. Where you look at Aegon, he did not have that proper training from his father, because his father was trying to train Rhaenyra about all that, and plus the prophecy about the White Walkers and all that. So that's one thing that unfortunately Aegon didn't get that, and so that's why he's so incompetent in that scene, which is hilarious. I mean, and that's why you see how Otto is it's just controlling him as a puppet. So overall, great sequence. I really enjoyed. They moved a lot of the like very emotional scenes with the Black Queen, and then you got really funny scenes with with the court thing, but then also like very intriguing themes that is not going to be important, but it's going to be important later on, like Otto maybe being replaced as a hand. So that's all I have to say.
Dom.
All right, so next couple sequences. Lara Strong, aka the Varys stand-in. Good usage overall, kind of a little bit more of just reinforcing what it is that he's good at. Lara Strong was another kind of fringe character that's introduced that plays more of an important part later on in the war. But the biggest thing about Laris is that it's so tough, because ultimately I think it's more so the veneer and presence that he brings, which kind of overshadows the actual action that he does, which I feel like compared to both of his predecessors in the original show, that being Varys and Littlefinger, he doesn't do as much. So that's why it's harder for him to have as much of an impact for me. As far as the scene of Aegon holding court with the other commoners, my two big takeaways were not necessarily that he sucks at being a king, but rather that he's trying. He's trying to not only be king, but he's also trying to do well and trying best to honor his Viserys, who was known for being a good and fair and just and honorable king. And rather, Otto is more so, once again, showing his hatred and disdain for the king, and the fact that he kind of hates the fact that he kind of threw his lot all behind the idea of it having to be a male heir. Rhaenyra cannot sit the throne because the realm will never accept a female leader. And now he's like this, sad, pathetic excuse for whatever is now the person who I ultimately have to back by nature of the fact that he has a penis. Okay, awesome. Then my big takeaway though from that scene was the fact that we haven't really talked about any of the introductions of the new characters as much, because they're doing what they do in terms of like introducing them in very small bits. Like famously, there's been a bunch of news stories that have said that Cregan Stark, this is his only appearance in this entire season, and that they're saving him for the next couple of seasons. But for me, we get the introduction of one of the dragon seeds here, Hugh Hammer, in this scene, who for anybody who's not familiar with it, is going to end up riding the dragon Vermithor, who previously belonged to King Jaehaerys, who was the king.
Honestly, Dom, I skipped the Corlys Valerian scene too. I skipped it.
Right, and the thing about that scene is that's a lead up to another dragon scene, because the one that we meet there, Alan of Hull, his brother Adam is the one who rides Sea Smoke. He's the one that ends up becoming one of the dragon seeds. The big takeaway for me for that scene, the Corlys scene, is another connection to the book in the sense of where Adam and Alan of Hull were both rumored to be Laenor Valerian's bastards, but I was saying how the show was kind of clearing that up because that doesn't really make sense and match up age-wise because they look to be older than Laenor was when he died.
When we go around, when we do another round of questions, guys, I'll bring that back up and everyone will get a chance to talk about the sea snake scene. But go ahead, Dom, keep going.
Well, I guess just the whole thing that the show is seemingly confirming is it's confirming something that was kind of only rumored in the books, but it's pretty much obviously true, is that both Adam and Alan are bastard sons of Corlys, which is why they are able to ride dragons. Because if you guys remember, Laenor was Sea Smoke's previous rider, Laenor Corlys and Rhaenys' son. So obviously, even though he's half Targaryen, half Valyrian, because the Valyrians originate from Old Valyria, they've also got, you know, that's whatever it is in their blood that causes them to be able to bond with the dragons. So that kind of continues with Alan and Adam. And as far as those two playing very, very big and crucial parts in the war going forward, obviously once Adam claims Sea Smoke going forward.
Brittany.
All right. So I agree with all of y'all. Y'all had some amazing point of views. Amazing. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The first part, whenever we're seeing Rhaenyra and she is coming down from her dragon onto the beach and she sees her son's dragons, Syrinx? The Syrinx or Syrinx?
That was well, her dragon Syrax, yeah.
Syrax came down, and seeing the remains of the dragon's wing and the cape or the, what do you call it, Dom?
I mean, I couldn't tell if it was a harness or a cape or it was some article of clothing that belonged to him.
Exactly.
It was the cloth, the cape they usually wear. I think that was what was the remains.
Yeah, it was a cloak. Yeah.
So when she saw that in the fishnet and how she didn't really react the way a queen would react, she reacted the way a mother would react. And it wasn't any words that were said. It was just straight physical. And that was powerful. That just shows how great of an actress she is. The next part, when they held court, I thought that was hilarious. And it also kind of showed this interaction between a grandfather and a grandson that you don't normally see. He's not really treating the king like his grandson. He's treating him like a problem, like he's getting on his nerves, like he's not fulfilling the wishes that he had in the king after Viserys or a grandson. He's treating him like an afterthought. Like, what the fuck? You don't know that you can't do this? How the hell are you going to feed the dragons? What are you doing right now? What the fuck is wrong with you? And he's talking to him like that. He's not talking to him like in reverence, like this is the king, this is my grandson. He's talking to him like he's an employee. And then Aegon and Larys. Aegon and Larys was a very interesting interaction, and how Larys was trying to manipulate him and also play puppet master and mind tricks with him and try to get him to understand, like, hey, let me just put this bug in your ear. You don't have to have your grandfather as your hand. You can have somebody else as your hand, and that somebody else should be me. He didn't say it, but he inferred it. That's it.
Excellent, Brittany. Okay.
I'm hungry.
So,
shit.
Hungry? Am I fucking you up over here eating on my end? Am I giving you the
Yes.
monkeys?
We need snacks.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad you said that because I was saying that exact same thing. I could use a snack break right now.
Can we get sponsorship?
It never occurred to me that like if by snacking on my end, it would actually make my guests want to like also eat. I don't know
about all that. But I smoked 2 joints before this, and
we need snack breaks.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Well, next time we renegotiate our contract, your guesting contract with the Bleeding Edge, Brittany, we'll talk about it. Okay. So all right. Moving forward to the episode, right? We get the really deep and powerful, Black Council scene with Rhaenyra, where they brief her on where things are at with, like, her campaign, and all she says is, "I want Aemon take Targaryen," right? That's it, straight up. So basically, off that, caught on a ship, right? Off of King's Landing, or not, or off of Dragonstone, is Daemon's former whore, right, and spy master, Mysaria, right? So they catch her ass. Daemon confronts her, right? And basically, you guys know what went on in that whole conversation. And it ends up being that Daemon wants to make a deal with her. Eventually, that's what he ends up doing is working out a deal with her. And now I mentioned before that I never mentioned to you guys about the sea snake scene where we do see Corlys Valyrian, not needing a ship, having been saved and all that and whatnot. So that's wide open for y'all to talk about. But basically, Rhaenyra, has the scene with her son where he comes in to talk to her, but like weeps with her instead. Then they have a funeral, right? For Lucerys. And I'll stop there and I'll do questions off of that, off the funeral. Before we go to Daemon going to King's Landing to hire, those thugs or whatever. So I'll start with you, Jermaine.
Rat and cheese.
Yeah, rat and cheese.
Okay, so that's actually a lot to talk about. So let's talk about the White Worm. All right, so basically Corlys's men find her stowed away, and then it cuts to basically the next scene where Daemon is talking to her. He's quite upset, and what she attempts to do is she basically attempts to use logic to appeal to him. And what struck me in that particular scene was the fact that he was much more willing to listen to her than he was willing to listen to Rhaenys. Even though she was using logic, she was also appealing to him emotionally. But it was her who made him basically say, okay, all right, so all of these things are happening. All of these people are actually making sense. I can see it from their perspective. Let me take a second. Let me chill out. Let me, reevaluate, yada, yada, yada. It'll come up a little bit later. I said I wanted to talk about it. I do want to talk about it, but I wanted to basically state right here how he dealt with her, which was different from how he dealt with Rhaenys. And I'm thinking that it has a whole lot to do with the fact that this is somebody that he was banging in the past. Also, when Rhaenyra says, "I want Aemon Targaryen," Daemon all but nutted in his pants when he heard her say that, right? Because he's so ready to fight. He's so ready to go to war. I was very impressed when he decided to use subterfuge instead of an all-out attack. When he decided to use the rats, I was impressed by that. Like I didn't see that coming. And the reason I say that I'm impressed is because he's always shown belligerence, right? He just wants to fight. He wants to go at it. But instead this time, and I'm thinking all of these people everywhere is coming at him and they're saying, patience, be patient, be patient, be patient. And so he does something outside of himself, outside of the ordinary, and he decides to do that with the rats or whatever. All right. And yes, I agree with what people have said in the past. When Rhaenyra sees her oldest son, he attempts to, be the prince, right? He attempts to be the prince, and he attempts to tell her information, which is actually some good information that she really needs. But he breaks down crying, and instead of Rhaenyra being a queen, she decides to be a mother. That broke my heart. Mm-hmm. That broke my heart. I'm done.
Brittany.
Yes.
Your thoughts, my friend. You need me to really quick go back over what we're covering?
Yes, please.
Okay. From where from where remember we talked about how I skipped over the initial scene with the sea snake, right? Well, and his one like bastard son or whatever that is. Yes. I left that out. So there's that to talk about. Then the fact that they catch Miseria, right, on the boat, right? And then there's the Rhaenyra Black Council meeting where she says, "I want Aemon Targaryen," and then basically Daemon confronting Miseria and then making a deal with her, right? And that's where we're at.
Okay. So I really like the scene between Corlys and his possible alleged son, Alan, and how he was talking to Alan and saying, thank you so much for saving my life. You didn't have to do that. And he was like, oh, it's my duty. And kind of took Corlys back a little bit, like, your duty. That part, that was very interesting because I think that shows him like, you should have done that because we care for each other in some sort of way, in some little small form. We should have a bond, because he also gave the knife that was his heir's knife to Corlys, gave it back to him, and was apologizing for his heir's death. Then when we go to the scene with the council, that was power. Those were the only words she spoke the whole show. And that it just shut it down. Everybody was talking. Rhaenyra was talking. Daemon was talking. They were telling them the things that they can do in order to go to battle. And she just said what she just said, I want Aemon. And Daemon just was like, yes, let's go. Finally, let's fuck some shit up. I love that part. And then after that, whenever the White Worm and Daemon were talking, you could see the emotion that Daemon had for her and the emotion that she had for him. But she was basically saying, what we had in the past is gone. All I want is for you to understand that what I did was to survive. I didn't do anything out of spite to you. I was working with Otto Hightower because I wanted to survive. We had basically a partnership where I fed him information, and that information helped me be more than just a prostitute. It helped me have a come up in the world. And so that was very interesting to see how she was trying to explain her perspective to him, and how it looked like he had some form of empathy to where he kind of understood where she was coming from. And then the next part was my favorite part, where he went to, we're not there yet, where he went to King's Landing.
No, that'll be our final segment of the episode.
I'm done. I'm ready to get to that part. Let's go.
Elle.
All right. What we got? Feed it to me.
Okay. We're covering everything in between when Rhaenyra has the Black Council meeting. It says, I want Aemon Targaryen. And then, the catching on the ship of, Damon's, former whore, Viseria, right? David confronting her, and then making a deal with her, working out a deal with her. That's where we're at, the episode.
Okay. So let's go back to the kinship aspect. So I want his head. So she's related to him in more ways than one. So for me, just going down that rabbit hole is always very interesting. It makes for more drama because this is her brother. Or wait, am I saying it right? Hold on. Our stepson? Yes. Some type of kinship. Either way, he's responsible for her son's death. She wants his head. I don't care what it costs. Bring it to me. I'm not concerned about Alicent, her woes, none of these things. I want his head. I want it. So she is so grief-stricken that she's only concerned about vengeance at this point. And so that speaks to the power as well as the grief that Rhaenyra is experiencing.
Yeah, but Elle, we all watched season 1, and we all watched, at least some of us watched Game of Thrones. That's how they got down back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like that. It was an eye for an eye, right? Like, you know, like that's how the motherfuckers. That's how they bang.
An eye for an eye, and as we look at Amon, quite literally, an eye for an eye, and what is it? A son for a son in this case, as we see as
the episode title. Yep.
Right, as the episode unfolds. And so the next part of what we're discussing is, tell me again, I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. Damon confronting, you know, the catching of Mysteria, and then Damon confronting her, and then working out a deal with her.
So the white worm. So we love a good horse tale, right? So she's, I can't say a gun for hire, but basically pay for play, right? You want the information, give me the coin. At this point, she's been found as a stowaway, but she has the opportunity to give up information for her freedom. So we have the white worm, and she basically assists them in, or the rat catchers or whatever, in having this whole thing unfold to where, I don't want to give away the rest of what happens before we get there. But anyway, we have her as a very, very important character into how this episode ends, with the very, very disgusting thing that happens later on and basically turned my stomach. But at any rate, will we expect anything less from Damon? And so the white worm has a very important role, even though it seems kind of secondary initially. She has a lot to do with how things unfold, because she kind of quite literally, she says, hey, basically, I have no ties to anyone. You know, pay me for the information and go on. It's not a conspiracy. What you see is what you get. Give me the money, I give you the information, and it's as simple as that.
Dom.
All right, so I didn't get a chance to talk about Rhaenyra's direct reaction to Luke's death, and I mean, that's just, it was so weird for me getting used to the actor mid-shift in the middle of season 1, you know, the shift from Millie Alcock and Emily Carey, who portrayed Rhaenyra and Alicent in the first half of season 1, to Emma D'Arcy and Olivia Cook, who portrayed adult versions of them. That shift was going to be jarring no matter what, despite the fact that it was necessary in order to kind of really understand how much time had passed. But I understand that a lot of people, it was difficult to get used to Emma D'Arcy and her performance as Rhaenyra, but I mean, this scene just sells it completely, as far as, like Jermaine was saying, the fact that she, you know, you're not seeing her as this ruler, you're seeing her as this as a mother. You know, and it's this choice, you know, the decision of Luke's death that kind of motivates her throughout the war and turns her into maybe not the sympathetic party that we came to believe. But as far as how that leads into the decision for her only command to be that she wants Aemon's head, I mean, that makes sense, but that's another kind of recontextualization of how it was portrayed in the novel. Because what's so interesting about the translation from Fire and Blood, the text, to the screen, that makes it different than the adaptation is, it's not quite a direct adaptation, because since Fire and Blood is merely an overview of events, you don't necessarily get like the first person character perspectives that really, you know, define a lot of the events that it is that we're watching. And that kind of is what the show provides us. So certain things that may not have necessarily been true because they were not known by any one of the two narrators that we have in the books, that is now kind of confirmed in this. And what's so interesting is where in the book, the only thing we know about the fallout from Luke's death as far as what leads to the events of Blood and Cheese is Daemon somehow finds out at the same time when all the ravens go out, sends a message to Rhaenyra because he's already at Harrenhal by this point, and says, you know, basically, don't worry, Luke's death will be avenged, a son for a son. And so we don't know what the fallout of that is going to be until, you know, we hear about it later on. In this version, it's completely different, where now it's a mistaken order from Rhaenyra, where a mistake from her that Daemon interprets one way and is a pretty direct command that leads into his command with Mysaria, then turns into a case of just, you know, the assassins they hire being kind of idiots, you know, and not necessarily killing the person that they were supposed to. So I think that's kind of really interesting there. Daemon and Mysaria. I mean, Mysaria is more of a plot device character than an actual character. You know, kind of, again, if I'm drawing on inspirations from previous Game of Thrones characters, she reminds me a lot of Shay, with elements of Melisandre in there, you know, mixed in, as far as the, you know, a little bit of the hired gun, a little bit of Littlefinger in there as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then also Jace coming home and just breaking down in Rhaenyra's arms. Like, that got to me. And then the funeral where they're all throwing Luke's arms, Luke's stuff into the fire. I thought that was really, really tragic. Jace reminds me a lot of Robb Stark, for sure, in terms of a character that's got a lot going for him. Definitely has the potential to be a really, really good, solid ruler. Has a firm and steady head on him. And for those who've read the book, know that his end is not pretty, to say the least. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything that happens in this sequence before we get to, the final sequence. But just as far as Daemon goes, yeah, I feel like the Daemon from season 1 was kind of like this, you couldn't help but love him, even though he was giving you every reason not to. You kind of admired him in terms of he was the only one willing to back Corlys in his war in the Stepstones. But then obviously his lust for Rhaenyra and how his want for the throne put him at constant odds with Viserys, but ultimately how he was kind of always, weighed down by the love towards his family and how that was really in direct conflict to his ambition for the throne. Now, here that he's got more direct antagonists for his lust, it is kind of interesting seeing how he's kind of being more of the vicious one versus the Greens, who were kind of the main antagonists and provocateurs in the last season. Now, this time, it seems to have shifted towards Daemon, because up until the end sequence of the blood and cheese thing, there still seems to be a chance like the Greens might be willing to accept, okay, we fucked up. Maybe if we extend a hand, we can maybe sue for peace, versus the Blacks are all like, nah, game on. It's time for war. And I mean, the next sequence is kind of what seals the fate.
Fuck shit up.
Yep.
Andres.
Yeah. So, Renee, me, the older son, I met her for a very beautiful scene. But one thing I want to bring up that scene is very important is the contrast and comparison between the Green and the Black family, because you can see how the parenting really is like Renee, despite her flaws as a person, she was a really good mother, and you see how how she treats her kids. It's very motherly and very nurture, where compared to Alice and her kids, it's so cold, you remember she slaps Aragon so many times, in the most awkward situation.
They deserved it.
Yeah, well, that's true. I agree. Yeah, totally deserve it. And plus, Helen, last season with the rape of that one of the maids, like the fact that she rug it up like that, really, you think you should hold Aegon compatible with that horrible crime, and nope, no, he just was just let it slip past, and that was wow, what kind of mother are you? And yeah, is it just what kind of family is this? They're more more fucked up than the Black team. The Black team is more just noble family, So yeah, man, the funeral scene was so great, so emotion. I was so happy. There was an issue from last season, the Cinematic Coffee. The scenes were too much dark. Here, thank God I seen everything was clear. I can see the full scenes, and that funeral was so beautiful. Seeing the oldest son throwing one of the pieces of Luke, and the little brother throwing that toy. It was very sad. And intercutting Allison doing the candle thing, which is a direct nod to the first season. She did that with Renee when they were young kids. So I really like that callback. And she, say to, the passing of 3 people, her mom, that was interesting. The husband, last season, Renee's father, and then of course Luke, the kid that got killed in with this conflict. She, that was her last person. She say and pray. So yeah, you think that maybe the Green's gonna be maybe changing, but nope. The Blacks just wanted to attack, and yeah, and the first word she say is "Give me that," Emran Targaryen is oh my God, and put a smile on Damien. Yeah, it was oh shit's going down here, and yeah, I was oh yeah, we're going down to that path. His relationship with the White Worm is very fascinating. I mean, I mean, the White Worm, like, at least Damon is not as like I say like I don't know. Hearing from some characters from the Game of Thrones universe, he's like a midpoint between Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones, and then through what other character I guess Cersei Lannister, like he's like an in between, like he's very bad, but he has noble causes, like he's very normal, at least like family is like a very important thing for him, which I like. That's the one aspect I like about his character here, which he doesn't forget, which I like. So I'm very intrigued, and yeah, I agree with you guys about the White Worm. She's going to be very important because she can help Renea, gain access and like spy on the green team, what they're doing, and like that's how the advantage of the black team. They know everything what's going on back then, back there, because the White Worm still maybe has some connections over in the city there. So I'm very intrigued where it's going to happen with the White Worm, and honestly, when we do predictions, I can definitely see Damien and the White Worm back together, because we don't know how Renea and Damien's relationship is gonna go for this season, so we'll see. Last point, Jeff, because I covered the and that.
You're good right there, sir.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to talk about the shocking thing that everyone's talking about.
Okay, so moving forward, David goes to King's Landing and bribes his way into the gates, and we see Aemond and Sir Kristen, having like a personal war council before Otto Hightower comes in to have like a personal council with Aemond. We see Daemon do his business with the rat catchers and work out a deal with them, and they find the king drunk with his friends and all this shit and whatnot, like on the Iron Throne, before they go and like basically find their way to killing what they believe is a son of Targaryen blood or whatever. I guess that was their goal. And then who they end up killing, I believe, if I'm correct, is the daughter of Aegon's
son.
Was it the son? Okay, so they kill the son of Aegon, and that's how we go to black off that, right? Like they can't find Aemon, so they just go with whatever they can get, and it ends up being the wife that had the premonition that has to choose like which child to for them to kill, basically, almost. So I'll go to you first, Dom. Your thoughts, sir, on the wrap up and the ending of the episode.
Yes, the very famous sequence that, again, people who had read Fire and Blood and knew that, okay, if season 1 is going to end with Aemon killing Luke, then you know that the next major event has to be Blood and Cheese, which is one of the most infamous, and once again, could only have come from the mind of George R.R. Martin, given just how absolutely sickening it is. The murder of I don't even know how old he is, 5 years old, 6-year-old Jaehaerys Targaryen II, Aegon and Helena's eldest son. The fact that the original plan in the book was that Daemon automatically carry this out. Why they didn't go for Aemond, I don't know, especially since that seems to be primarily the aim, and especially for those who know how Aemon does eventually meet his end in the book. I give them credit for not actually showing it in visceral, gory detail. Game of Thrones is kind of known for when it does its shocking deaths to, not actually show the death on screen. I think the only time we really saw that even was, actually, no, not even at the Red Wedding, because even when Robb gets stabbed by Roose Bolton, it cuts away to Catelyn as he's getting stabbed. Or, you just get the reaction shot of his face. But yeah, the fact that Helena is forced to make a Sophie's Choice decision right here in terms of picking which one of the kids is getting killed. Another change too is in the book she chooses for the daughter to get killed, and then they surprise him by killing the son. But in here it's like they're adamant. They're like, no, it has to be the kid, and also since it's the male, okay, that means he's the next one that's in line for the throne. So that just makes it even extra fucked up on top of it. But yeah, it's a messed up sequence. It's the next stage in the war. It basically is another further step in terms of like, yeah, there's no coming back from this. And yeah, in order to quote Stringer Bell, we at war, and then to further quote that, to quote Slim Charles, is like, fact is, we went to war, and now it don't matter who did what to who. Fact is, we're at war. If it's a lie, we fight on that lie, but we gotta fight, because once you're at war, you're in it.
Okay, I'm just a pop culture guy.
Yeah, I was just totally shocked about the ending. I was not expecting that for a premiere, but like, wow, great way to do that. I mean, first up, was it Rat and Cheese or Blood and Cheese? Those two, very interesting characters. I thought they were very funny. I mean, they at least did their job, which is great. To answer, like, because was it Cheese, the person that that knew about the secret entrance in the castle? He say, if we did not find the prince, Amon, there was a look that Damon say, and it's cut, and it's pretty much assumed that they say, if you're not gonna find the prince, then kill one of the children. That's the indication that's why they go.
We don't know, because they cut out on Damon. Yeah,
it's very ambiguous, but there's a lot of evidence that that's what they discuss. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so they go into the castle, and then that whole scene was so terrifying. The suspense was like very great. Like it felt like a horror movie, basically, and this like House of the Dragon episode. And and just the actress that plays the daughter, Addison's daughter, she was great. I actually liked her from the brief moment we saw in season 1, and then here, I thought she was really great in the scene. Her eyes and just the way she spoke, to those men was, just very terrifying. And she didn't have a choice. She has to choose, the son, unfortunately. And I appreciate that they didn't show too much of it. I mean, like, they could have done that. I mean, I see movies that done that. I mean, if you saw, John Carpenter's assault to the 13th Precinct or whatever, they kill a kid there. So like, I mean, seeing a kid is not like a big surprise, but if you went that far, I was like, oh wow, that's very brutal. But I appreciate that they didn't do the very Game of Thrones thing, as we're bringing up, because they usually done that, as I heard, the Red Wedding and all that. So I loved the ending. It was so great. And plus, like, you thought these two were done? No, Cole and Allison were just they were gonna hook up anyway. They were having sex. It was funny that the daughter.
That's true. They were fucking when the daughter came in.
It was so funny. I was like, wow. It's just like like they didn't even worry about like it to be like revealed and all that. So like so I'm very intrigued what's gonna happen in episode 2, if they're gonna even address that. But fantastic premiere. I love it. It was really great. I'm so excited to just get into season 2. It's here now.
Jermaine.
All right, so there are a couple of things that I didn't talk about earlier. So I did want to say this. Allison praying for everyone. It really showed me that she is not without compassion, and she, as a character, her character is going to be very redeemable, and we're going to see a little bit more of her. It's been about 2 years since I read the book, this particular book that we're referencing. So there are a lot of details that I've obviously forgotten. But Otto speaking to Eamon, to me, was masterful. It was masterful. Basically, what he did was he appealed to his common sense. He's like, hey, dude, you're doing all this other stuff, but your brother is without reason. What did that tell Eamon? Choose duty over passion. I loved it. The whole rat scene, I kind of said it before, like, to me, from the perspective of Damon, it was a masterful move. It would have been a masterful move. It really would have been a masterful move if he hadn't connected with some really stupid people. He specifically said a one-eyed man. And you choose some kids? Like, what kind of sense does this make? This makes absolutely no sense. Why would anybody want to kill a kid? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, who, where, when? I'm just saying, like, that's it. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Brittany.
Okay, I'm back, y'all. So basically, like Jermaine was saying, Allison praying for everybody showed how much empathy and compassion that she does have on one side. She's still an evil, conniving bitch, but it does show how she has a good side to her. And then when we look at, I'm gonna just skip everything and go to Cole and Eamon. Cole and Eamon. I'm sitting here looking at Eamon play this war game where they're sitting here talking back and forth about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, having drinks, having a bromance moment. And I'm like, dude, he's fucking your mom. He is a mom fucker. And you are sitting here just chilling with him and kicking.
I like that. A mom fucker.
Like, it does not matter. And I'm like, yo, Cole, you are so devious. You were just eating his mom's pussy out. And you were sitting here playing games with him. Like, what the fuck? And then here comes Otto, like, you need to go do your duty and get the fuck out. Okay. And then now we go to the next part. My favorite characters, because they're like Beavis and Butthead. I don't know, that might be too old for you, too old for your audience, but Beavis and Butthead back in the day were no, they're millennials. Okay.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead were so funny. And that's what Blood and Cheese remind me of, is Beavis and Butthead. And how Damon is sitting here saying, I need you to go kill a one-eyed man. Kill a one-eyed blonde hair man that looks like me. Gave them all the description and asked him specific questions. Do you know the castle? Do you understand how to get back and forth through the castle? He's a really good fighter. I need y'all to understand that he's a really good fighter and he will kick your ass. So I'm going to pay y'all some money up front. Are y'all ready for this? And they were like, yeah, we can do it. We got this. It's cool. I know the castle better than I know my own cock. Like, somebody saying that, you're like, oh shit. All right. Maybe you do know you own game. You got this. And he's sitting there, gave him the money. Go ahead and go through the castle. Now, the part that made me mad was when they kicked the dog, because I love dogs. So I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Y'all wrong for that. Y'all down bad for that. But the next part, when they're going through, and it connected with me when, what's her name? What's the queen's name?
Helena.
I like Helena.
Thank you, Elle.
I like Helena a lot. When Helena was like, yo, I have a necklace. The necklace is worth a lot of money. And they were basically like, fuck your necklace. I'll take that too. Which one is a boy? We're coming to kill him. That part, that was sad. Like, that was really sad, because that's when I was like, yo, they're killing somebody tonight. I don't know which one it is. And I thought it was going to be like true Game of Thrones fashion, where it was going to be blood and gore and crass, and they show you everything. I am so happy they did not show that, because that would have traumatized me. Blood and Cheese were like the epitome of fuck them kids. I can't see that. That was too much. But other than that, I thought it was really cool how they gave the last 10 minutes of the scene to two new characters.
Okay. Elle.
Okay, so Blood and Cheese. So kinship and money. So we have these two guns for hire, if you will. And they are the most crass, most incompetent bunch that you have ever seen. And so to see them basically storm the castle looking for this heir or a son for a son to murder was absolutely just wild to me. So watching those two go in and approach this mother and basically have her point out which one of her children is going to be murdered was absolutely difficult to watch, but at the same time, you couldn't help but watch. And so for me, I feel like Helena, she's a little bit of a cuckoo bird, right? So she's the weirdo of the family. She's a seer, if you will. She's all these things. And so everybody thinks she's a little bit crazy. So to see her basically say, hey, this is a value around my neck, take this, instead of taking my children. She hasn't been more human for me in this show than she was in that moment. Hey, I have something that I can offer you. Don't take my child or my children. That was a lot for me to watch. I was like, wow, okay. So she does this, and then that's still not enough. So to watch that unfold and ultimately have your child decapitated in front of you, only to go to your mother-in-law and have her back being blown out in the middle of you having the most atrocious thing happen to you that you'll ever experience. Oh my goodness. Like, so that was a lot for me, but at the same time, it just made for great TV. It was disgusting and vile, but you can't help but watch it. So I appreciated that. It's like, okay, you want to look away, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to miss a moment of it because it was so much drama unfolding simultaneously. You have, okay, your mother-in-law, has her indiscretions. You're seeing all of this. Your child is being murdered. So it's just so many layers of things that are happening at one time. And so, like, just literally shout out to the writers of this show and just being able to watch it. Of course, there's nothing like print to paper, but being able to watch it was amazing. So definitely enjoyed this last scene, although it also turned my stomach, especially with blood and cheese. Like, hey, they're trying to get their money, not deeper than that. Well, in the case of the other guy, not being a fan of Hightower, of course, most people, if you've experienced Hightower, probably aren't huge fans of him anyway. But yeah, so just literally watching all of these things in the last couple of scenes unfold pretty much brought everything full circle to true Game of Thrones fashion, drama, gore, vengeance, all of the things. In essence, one of my favorite words, debauchery. So,
all right, so debauchery. Let's rate the episode 1 out of 10. I'll go to you first, Jermaine. Give me your rating.
Answer 7. Why? Only because in this particular episode tonight, we've talked about the Red Wedding. And to me, that's my all-time favorite episode in life, ever watching TV whatsoever. And so to me, that was a 10. And so if that's the summit, then this particular episode will be a 7. Yep.
Okay. Brittany?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5, close to 8. Why? I like how Jermaine does that because I like I like how we see all the characters and we have some new characters introduced that actually have some storylines behind it, and it wasn't just fluff. It was some real basis behind it. It's building a foundation, and it wasn't fucking boring like Willow. It was really good, and it's action-packed.
Hey, why you gotta hate on Willow, motherfucker?
It was action-packed from the start all the way to the end. It was something that everybody could appreciate. It was highs, it was lows, it was mids. It was ongoing the whole time. It was a constant ride.
That's right. That's like many of my sexual partners have said the same thing about me. Andre the Pop Culture Guy, sir, your rating?
9 out of 10. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. I thought this trailer was great. Brittany, you
Andres rates everything at 9 out of 10.
No, motherfucker, shut up. Shut up. Anyway, he thinks he knows. He thinks he knows me because I throw 9 out of 10. It's rare for me to throw a 9 out of 10.
You just throw a lot of 9 out of 10s, motherfucker. What do you want me to say?
Anyway, so I agree with Brittany. This was not a filler episode. That was something I really appreciate. We got in, It's like we address, the aftermath of, last season, which was really great. And, we had proper action and stakes for, now moving forward. That was really great. So, yeah, 9 out of 10. It did its job, which is good. And that's something we don't get. Accolade, you fail. Yeah, so anyway.
Elle, your rating.
I'm gonna give it a strong 8 out of 10. It was pleasure, it was pain. You saw what I did there. It was pleasure, it was pain. So I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. It didn't bore me, which is very easy to do. If you know, you know. So yes, definitely 8 out of 10, especially on the back of season 1, which was so
on the back too. On the back.
Bareback. Stop, Jeff. Stop. I love you. Also keep going. Yes. So strong 8 out of 10 for me. Did not disappoint. On the back of season 1, I fell in love with this show. Even if you didn't watch Game of Thrones, if you watched House of the Dragon, just face value what it was. Amazing show, to break out from Game of Thrones. So 8 out of 10 for me. Pleasure, pain, cinematography, great acting, all of the things. I am a huge fan of villains, so wasn't quite enough Damon for me, much like I feel with Interview with the Vampire with Lestat. So a little bit more Damon, excuse me. Would have appreciated that, but strong 8 out of 10. Beautiful, beautiful episode to break back into not Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
There you go. And I'm gonna rock that 8 out of 10 too myself. And I ain't rocking no 8 downstairs, but I'm rocking 6 and change, baby. And it's good. You feel me? It is good. All right, ladies, just to be clear. Yes, I am, as always, single. True knowledge over here. And I got that good D, baby. You know what I'm saying? Just like House of the Dragon episode 1. 8 out of 10. Just like Elle. I'm feeling it. Pleasure and pain, baby. Anyways, so, at bareback, too. Because, like I told my son when we had that big talk, I was like, son, kind of take away all the feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, Anyways, all right, we're done. That's our first episode review of the House of the Dragon. We're over. It's history. We kicked the shit out of it. It's finished. We're gonna plug out of here. So I'm gonna start off by switching over to your YouTube channel, Jermaine, which basically contains Brittany and contains Elle, since they guess with you guys basically at fantasy and reality, right?
That is correct. So as I said earlier, we're all about fantasy, science fiction, also a little bit of drama, especially if it's a period piece. That's what we do. And I think we do it well. And currently we are covering Interview with a Vampire. Of course, we're doing what we're doing right here with Jeff. We're going to switch over next week. We're going to be, I guess, leading House of the Dragon. So if you like what you saw today, you'll see it done a little differently, but you'll still have fun.
Yeah, we'll do it that way, Jermaine. Well, you shoot the links out and all that and whatnot. You set the show up like you would for your own show, and then we'll come on from you.
Sounds good.
Okay? Yes, we encourage you folks to check out Jermaine's your YouTube channel and please subscribe. Get up to 250 by tomorrow. It'd be nice. This is what 6/18/24. It was Monday. It's now Tuesday. I just want to say shout out to Elle, shout out to Britt, shout out to Jermaine. Thank you so much for coming out and doing the show with us. I'm just pop culture guy. What is going on your YouTube channel, sir?
Not much. Just here and there. Hello everyone. Thank you, Elle, Brittany, for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you. It was a fun panel here. I'm so excited to review season 2 of here. Briefly getting back to my channel. Just posted comic BRIO Super Secret Crisis War, a big crossover of your favorite 90s Cartoon Network shows or mid 2000s that we all watch. Next Sunday, the 23rd, me, Jeff and Cyber are going to review Pulp Fiction for his 30th anniversary. So look for that for Sunday for 9 ish Easter time. So and yeah, that's it.
I've been on every single one of those motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
Yes, since the Chucky reviews. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And tomorrow, I'm gonna post hopefully my restricted / review of X-Men Days of Future Past, and then we'll go from there for this week.
All right, most definitely. So we'll wrap up. We'll get out of here. Oh shit! Have you guys seen this one? This guy's great. Look at him head bob that guy. The guy's actually having sex with a poster.
The poster child for a good time.
What do you think, Elle?
Definitely the poster child for a good time.
He sounds like your kind of people, huh? What do you think about this guy right here?
端からまでね、膝生地を回すこと以外にほぼデータがなかったんですが、ただもんじゃないですね。結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。少ないんですよ。SNS でね、膝生地を回しながら戦う姿の動画がですね、めちゃくちゃバズったんですが、そのバズった以上の情報が入ってこないんですよね。そうなんです。今度は膝。
What do you think,
Little Caesars. Little Caesars.
Is that guy not talented or what?
Oh, he's got the dough for sure.
Little Caesars.
Motherfucker, did you see him spinning the dough around his leg and shit and whatnot? That's me and Jermaine's favorite move that he makes. Right, Jermaine?
Wow.
If the reason were a little different.
All right, folks. Have a good night. We love you. Peace.
Galaxy. Yeah. Someone at the door, John. Now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music? More bricklaying, less screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the weird minds from a soapbox. Got BKTs on this bitch, so everybody getting rolled on.